Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Sunday morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing well out there this morning and having a great start to your day. And I hope you all been having a great weekend out there so far. We had some active weather in Tennessee yesterday. Things started going downhill yesterday afternoon, and it just got worse and worse into the evening. We had confirmed tornadoes in Clarksville and just north of Nashville, and probably other areas too as they do the surveys later today. And unfortunately, we had catastrophic damage to certain areas. I would say that some of these tornadoes might have been EF2, EF3, which are stronger tornadoes. And unfortunately, we're hearing this morning that 6 people did lose their life. So it's very sad. I know one of them was a toddler, which I know for me having kids, and I'm sure you don't have to have kids to feel this way. But, for me, having 2 little girls, it just hits even harder when it's the kids. But, guys, we're praying for you folks out there. A lot of people will post thoughts and prayers, and maybe you just forget to actually pray. I've done that in my past. I don't do it anymore. I make it a priority to stop and pray right then, and even pray, at night before I go to sleep. But let's definitely stop and pray and think about these folks today. I know not everybody can do something physically to help, but prayer is powerful. And these people definitely need prayers. And it just stinks that this continues to happen in December of all months. It really stinks it happening any month of the year, obviously. But in December, it's Christmas time. Yeah, so moving past that, I definitely thinking of y'all folks. But we got to figure out the rest of this storm system, right? And there is going to be a severe weather threat for today. I do not think it's going to compare to yesterday, but it has increased for today for areas of the country. We'll break it down for you folks one last time. Of course, we're going to try to get out a video this evening, but this might be the last really detailed video speaking of this storm system, of this storm system's life. So we'll break it down from Florida all the way up to Maine, every state in between. I'll have it sectioned out as far as timestamps. And of course, we'll talk about the rest of the country too. The big topic in this video will be snow, but of course, like I said, we will talk on the severe weather threat too. A lot of rain switching to heavy snow. So we'll break it down for you folks. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. Thank you all for the growth lately. It's been really cool seeing the channel grow. So welcome to any new subscribers. Family-like atmosphere here, more of a personal feel. So if you guys got anything that I can pray about, pray over, please put those in the comments below so I can pray over it and so others can do so too. Sorry about the almost 3-minute intro, but let's get rolling here. So this is our system. I know it just looks like a big area of rain stretching from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up to Canada, but it's going to get very dynamic today, meaning some of this rain is going to switch to heavy snow on the back end of this. We got a lot of heavy rain in Georgia, some storms. I woke up to lightning and thunder this morning in my house here in Columbia, South Carolina. We got to watch these storms right here that's going to push into the eastern sections of especially North Carolina. A lot of rain's going to fall. Like I said, we have winter storm warnings up. So a lot is going on with this little back-end energy across the Great Lakes region. Losing my voice. The Pacific Northwest seeing a lot of moisture this morning. We'll give you some updated information on that too. But the meat of this video is going to be discussing this system right here that's been impacting our weather over the last couple days, especially yesterday. So here's the Storm Prediction Center outlook. As you can tell, we still have this marginal risk from Tampa through Tallahassee. Still in Atlanta, but this will probably get cut off from west to east as we move into the next couple hours. Columbia, Charlotte, Raleigh, even Roanoke now, Richmond, Virginia Beach, Baltimore, D.C. area. Level 1 out of 5 risk. But if you notice, we do have a slight risk now. That's different from the video we made yesterday evening and just yesterday in general. That's a level 2 out of 5 risk now, guys. So we have a slight risk up. This includes Wilmington, even down to Myrtle Beach, and just eastern and southeastern sections of North Carolina. This is driven off a tornado threat. There's now a 5% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location in the brown area. 2% risk in the dark green. So there is an increased tornado threat. I kind of had a hunch this would happen yesterday. But confidence has increased enough to bump up the tornado risk from a 2 to a 5% risk in that brown area. Also a 15% risk of winds exceeding 50 knots or higher. That's 55 to 60 miles per hour. And then the hail threat is less than 5%. Not a big hail threat today compared to yesterday. So we're going to break down the severe weather threat here in the Carolinas. I know we have a lot of people tuning in from the Carolinas. That's kind of where I started making my channel and speaking weather on. So I will get you covered on this. Just bear with me. The excessive rainfall outlook, marginal risk down here, marginal risk basically all the way up the I-95 corridor. Slight risk though, which means in the yellow there's a 15% risk of flash flood guidance being met within 25 miles in any given location. So the flooding threat is higher up here in southern New England. Little small marginal risk here in Oregon also. So, the flooding risk is not as high as I guess it could be with, 2 to 4 inches of rain projected, but this will move in and move out at a pretty quick amount of time. So we do need to watch out, but it's not super high today. Watches, warnings, advisories. So we're littered with it in the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic region. Tornado watches currently up for areas of Florida, extreme Southeast Alabama, and areas of Georgia. But you notice winter weather advisories are now up for the mountains of North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Virginia, and one county in Maryland. And then we have winter storm warnings up where confidence has increased that we're going to have enough snow to hit winter storm warning criteria. We'll talk about that. And then up here in the Northeast where this system will really switch to an all-out winter storm, we have winter storm warnings all up for almost the entire state of Vermont, a good, several counties in New York State, winter weather advisories in the kind of the valley region in between Vermont and the higher elevations of northern and central New York State. Flood watches pretty much for everybody along the I-95 corridor. We got high wind watches. We got high wind warnings now. Winter storm watches up for a couple counties in northern Maine where the confidence just still isn't quite there to issue either an advisory or warning, but we'll see what happens. Windy conditions across the high plains. Winter weather advisories up for the northern Rockies, Cascades, winter storm warnings up. So that's what's going on as far as watches and warnings. Let's go on and break it down. So a very quick kind of sweep through what's going to happen today in the Southeast. We'll start off this morning. There's been some tornado warnings already this morning in the Panhandle. So this is a quick sweep through. We'll start off this morning, getting into about midday. There's the line of storms making its way through the Panhandle, Florida, Georgia. We'll see how intense this is. A lot of scattered rain. We got to watch for these storms in eastern North Carolina. If you're thinking, Mitch, you're going through this way too fast, bear with me. I'm going to zoom into each individual area. I just kind of taking a broad look at this at first. And then the last back in of moisture as a developing low pressure gets going. We'll dump probably a couple inches of snow in the higher elevations of the southern Alps, and then this pulls on out, and then we're finally calm to start our work week. So let's go on and break it down region to region. Let's not forget our folks down here in Florida. I'm really watching these storms this morning. In fact, we're going to pull up radar scope on the fly and see what it looks like right at this moment here in the Tallahassee region. And let's see if this will work with us quick here. And here it is. It's very active. Tallahassee right here. Things have not gone downhill in Tallahassee yet, but Panama City down here in this region, it is storming like crazy this morning. And all these storms are going to make its way northeast onto the Panhandle, eventually making it to the Big Bend region. And, the HRRR model is doing pretty decent right now and picking up on this and trying to show us where these storms actually are. But you keep this going. Guys, at any time we're confused about the time frame in these videos, please look right here. Most of this video, speaking of the Eastern U.S., is going to be in Eastern time, and that's exactly what this timestamp is in, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So I do forget to mention it, so definitely check this out over here. We get going, we get into late morning, we get all the way to lunchtime, 12 p.m. Storms are starting to enter the northern Big Bend region of Florida, just slashing through the entire Panhandle. Southern Georgia getting some hefty storm action. And then we start to get into North Florida. And guys, the tornado threat won't be as high down here because you're displaced from that main favorable wind field aloft that supports tornadoes that was maximized over Tennessee and Kentucky yesterday. But you're still going to have some heavy rain, gusty winds, lightning, and So this continues, starts to hit the west coast of Florida, starts to move through Jacksonville later this afternoon, and we're going to get some beneficial rains in the Tampa Bay area in the form of probably a line of storms, torrential downpours. Then this sweeps through the entire state of Florida throughout the evening, and then we're done with it. And so just gusty winds, a small tornado risk down here. Can't ignore it. It'll be there, especially in the Panhandle this morning. But storms will sweep through just about the entire state of Florida, if they haven't already, throughout the day today. Updraft velocity swath, it is picking up, especially in the short term. It's a tornado threat for the Panhandle of Florida. And then it's picking up here in the Big Bend region too. And what you're looking at here is what we call the updraft Felicity swath. So it's trying to indicate on this particular run of the HRRR model where these storms will be rotating the best. Just because the storm is rotating, that don't mean it's dropping a tornado. It just means that, it's spinning. So as of right now, it's liking, northern Florida and really just the panhandle of Florida, especially in the near term this morning. All right, so let's talk about the Carolinas. We'll talk about Virginia, West Virginia, and Eastern Tennessee in this also. Even talk about West Virginia. So this will be a heavy topic in this portion of the video. We get this going. We already dealing with this little area of rain this morning that just made its way through my personal area here in the Midlands. This will continue through North Carolina. Then we start to get into about midday, and this is kind of where I worry because now there's an opening right in here. This allows for some instability to build where there's not rain falling kind of in southeast North Carolina, even in the Grand Strand of South Carolina. Back behind here, just a solid line of storms moving in. I don't think this entire line will bring severe weather. I do think it'll bring gusty winds, so definitely anchor down your Christmas decorations. Do what you got to do. Turn them off because sometimes if you have an open circuit somewhere, a busted bulb, it'll cause a short somewhere. It happens at my house often. I have to always remember to turn off my Christmas lights when it rains because I have a busted bulb somewhere that I don't know about. But anyways, enough of that. We're not talking about Christmas lights here. But storms, I want to watch these all the way up into the Delmarva region. These could produce some spin in these storms. Maybe a brief tornado threat with these, and then we keep going. This heavy rain really gets amplified all the way back into the Western Carolina, Central South Carolina. The storm is making its way through eastern Georgia. This is around 3 p.m. Okay, a lot of heavy rain over the Carolinas, southeast Georgia, up into western Virginia. And then we watch for these little storms right in here that will begin to make their way inland. These are the storms I would say that's driving that 5% risk right into here. I know it just looks like a sloppy area of convection, but these are the storms that have the potential to spin. There's going to be a tornado threat in Wilmington and just Wilmington and surrounding regions within an hour of any direction, hour or two. And then back behind this, you just continue to have rounds of rain. Definitely just a rainy afternoon, heavy rain, gusty winds. Yeah, so this continues to make its way through. This rain begins to switch to snow in the mountains. So at this point, you stop it here, you have a severe weather threat ongoing for the eastern sections of the Carolinas. At the same time, you have rain switching to snow, potentially heavy snow this evening for the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee. I mean, I think it's going to snow in Asheville, Waynesville. I think it's possible. I think it's likely. And then this continues, could switch to snow in the Hendersonville region. It's snowing at this point around 9, 10, 11 p.m. in Boone, Banner Elk, up the Roan Mountain. The Tri-Cities, I mentioned them a lot in yesterday evening's video. I do think it's possible to switch to a period of snow. The HRRR model not liking it as much anymore, but it's going to be close, man. It's going to really be close. I got a lot of viewers from this region of Tennessee. I got a lot of friends in the weather community that live in this area that's really pulling for this to happen. We're going to find out here in the next several hours. Heavy snow falling in western sections of Virginia. Heavy snow falling in the favorable regions of the higher elevations of West Virginia. Also, at the same time, we still have storms slashing through eastern sections of North Carolina at around midnight tonight. Rain switches to snow in these higher elevations, coupled to a few thousand feet up of Virginia. It is pouring at my house. Sorry, got interrupted. Looks like we got some of those storms making its way through my house right now. Still snowing down here in Boone. Higher elevations of Virginia, West Virginia. I mean, this is getting into midnight. Rain and moisture finally begins to pull out, and as it does, a lot of model guidance, more than 50% of them, have something switching to snow around the Greensboro area. And this region right here, the Danville, Virginia region, and looking at trying to switch to snow. We'll talk more on northern Virginia here in a second, but look at this down here in northern North Carolina. Man, it's going to be interesting. It really is. I'll leave it at that. It's going to be a tough one to figure out, too. Then back in snow showers for the southern Appalachian Mountains behind this. So what about this tornado threat? This is the significant tornado parameter. The higher the number, the better the ingredients for tornadoes. And it does spike up here. I mean, I would watch out southeast sections of Virginia, northeast sections of North Carolina. It's saying it likes this area the most based off the latest long-range HRRR model. But you see the highlighted areas that gets going here in southeast sections of Virginia, eastern North Carolina. And then we look at the updraft helicity swath for extreme eastern sections of North Carolina. Man, if you're out in the Outer Banks, I would really watch out later this evening. But it really is showing the worst of it off the coastline. But the updraft helicity swath does not always tell the story. Sometimes sometimes it shows a very aggressive scenario where it has all these highlighted colors of spinning updrafts, and it doesn't materialize. Sometimes it doesn't show hardly anything at all, and it does materialize. So it just tries to give us our best guess at this, but it really likes the extreme eastern sections of North Carolina. But there's also a couple spinners right here in Virginia also. Talking about rain, and then we'll talk about snow. A couple inches of rain. That we're probably getting a half an inch right now at my house from the rain pouring down here in Columbia. But in North Carolina, up into Virginia, central North Carolina, eastern North Carolina, a couple inches of rain, 2 to 3 inches of rain up here into Richmond, the Delmarva region. A lot of rain will fall. And then Georgia, about an inch on average down here. Snowfall, though, guys, the higher elevations of North Carolina and Tennessee, favorite areas will probably get 2 to 3, 4 inches of snow from this. But the lower elevations, kind of the mid-level elevations like Asheville, Waynesville, Maggie Valley, up into Boone, I would say is definitely the high country. But I definitely think the Smokies could get a quick few inches of snow. But I really am watching places like Asheville. Okay, most people know about Asheville in the southeast. They could switch to a period of heavy snow for a couple hours. Let's see if it actually happens. But the National Weather Service is what they're going for. Not even a whole lot of heavy amounts for Virginia. But I'm telling you, if the HRRR model verifies, you're going to get a quick few inches in these areas. West Virginia, several inches of snow. But, you look at a couple other model guides. Look at the blend of all models. Sticking to about the same. What about the HRRR model? And they're going for, let's see, let's switch it back to this. And let's look at this. So this goes all the way out to about 11 p.m. tonight. And it's really hitting just the mountains pretty good with a quick few inches of snow. It's going to fall very fast. And I mean, look in this area right here in southwest section. What is it? Wytheville here in Virginia. Wanting to dump a few inches of snow on your area. Okay. And, this isn't all the way out. We're going to have to look at this. And, yeah. And then look at that little area, northern North Carolina wants to dump snow on. We'll see if that actually happens. I'm not buying a few inches of snow in this area, but I could see rain switching to snow sometime overnight in this area. I'm not buying several inches of snow, though, in southern Virginia. So it really, though, hits these higher elevations of Virginia and West Virginia pretty hard. So we'll see what happens. The latest GFS for this region going for a good few inches of snow in the southern Appalachian Mountains. And, it wants to bring accumulations all the way down to Asheville. So we'll see what happens with this. Let's talk about, that don't make sense. Talk about the Ohio Valley really fast, because I do want to mention, y'all folks, I do think as we're getting later into this afternoon, to this evening, into the overnight hours, Indianapolis, over to Ohio, Columbus, Louisville, Dayton, I think we could get some festive flurries flying around later this evening. Some snow showers in the back end of this in Maine Energy will get going, and I think we could get some snow showers tonight all the way down into Kentucky. Ohio, I think we might could wake up tomorrow morning with a dusting of snow in areas of Ohio. It's just depending on if you can get hit by these snow showers very often. But definitely some snow showers kind of flying around this area later this evening. So don't let this catch you by surprise at all. Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, down into sections of Kentucky, I think there'll be the biggest risk of this. So just some snow showers flying around later this evening, into tonight, into tomorrow morning. Let's talk about the Mid-Atlantic. This will be a heavy topic also. Rain moves in, starts to take over the region. This will be in the form of some storms in the Delmarva area. And we keep this going. This is around 11 a.m. this morning. Rain just taking over the area. This will be a wind-driven rain for New Jersey, Delaware, New York City, Long Island, starting to move into southern New England. This is about midway this afternoon, but you're starting to see some pockets of blue showing up here in areas of Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and you keep this going here. We've already talked about North Carolina, but here's this heavier rounds of rain moving into the D.C., Baltimore area, starting to take over the Delmarva region. This is when we can have a severe weather threat as far north as the Delmarva later this afternoon, this evening. We're starting to get into 7, 8, 9 p.m. Just a very wind-driven rain, gusty winds gusting to 30 to 40 miles per hour potentially in this rain, just wind-driven rain right here. But look at this back-end snow, thumping snow in West Virginia. And then look at Pennsylvania, switching to that heavy snow. I'm telling you, in Pennsylvania, 500 feet would make a difference in this. If you notice, there's these weird pockets of blue mixed in with the yellows. Heavy rain mixed in with heavy snow. So if you live in kind of some favorable hilly regions and your house just happens to be situated about 500 to 800 feet higher than everybody else, that could make a difference in Pennsylvania. There's, hills that roll through Pennsylvania, even, just mountainous regions. So it's something we need to pay attention to. And this is around midnight tonight. You're switching to heavy snow. It's snowing like crazy in western areas of Maryland. Rain is trying to switch to snow in central Maryland. Very elevation driven here. And then, we keep going. Look at it switching to snow in Washington, D.C. There could be a surprise with this. There very well could. It's switching to snow in like Charlottesville, switching to snow in Baltimore and to the D.C. region, trying to switch to snow to the, Fredericksville. I think it's Fredericksburg. For whatever reason, I'm brain farting the name, but you guys probably know what I'm trying to say down here. And yeah, this is going to be an interesting scenario. It could be a situation where you go to sleep tonight, wind-driven rain in D.C. Who knows? You might wake up to a surprise in the morning. Is Mitch saying that's going to happen? I don't think it will. But, man, it's going to be close. It really wants to switch this to some back-end heavy snow late tonight. Look, 3 a.m. in the morning. Does this make it to, like, the Harrisburg region? The ARRR model says it will. It crashes at the heavy snow tomorrow morning. And then, this is around 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Just raining, a very chilly rain in New York City. But look at it switching to snow in northwest New Jersey, snowing like crazy. Potentially in this point in the Poconos, the Catskills, obviously seeing a lot of snow. And we keep this going, just a wind-driven rain. And then right at the end of this, it does show it switching to snow just north of New York City into western Connecticut. The Berkshires, the Catskills, it's snowing, and then this heads on out. So, rainfall from this, 2 to as much as 4 inches of rain through this entire region. Lot of rain. Just an absolute soaker between now and the next 24 to 30 hours in this region. Snowfall. Okay, picking up on the heavy snow in West Virginia, the hills of in this mountainous region right here of southern and southwest PA. Western Maryland, probably a few inches of snow. It really likes northeast PA. It does like northern PA just in general for a few inches of snow, but even picking up on some snow here in northern New Jersey. And then look at this. The National Weather Service is throwing you folks a bone even in central VA. Kind of a dusting of snow, showing 1/10 of an inch. All right, you look at the latest GFS for this region, and that's not what I want to look at. And here we go. And it wants to dump a couple inches of snow just north and west of DC as this pulls out overnight. It likes areas of New Jersey. It really likes eastern PA for a couple inches of snow. The models aren't backing down with this. You would think that it would kind of, fade away with this idea as we got closer. But, the NAM this morning, guys, we're well into the short range of the NAM, which is a lot more reliable than the long range. The NAM is wanting to give Washington, D.C. 4 to 5 inches of snow. Do I think that's going to happen? No, I do not. But, man, it is highly interesting what the NAM is doing here. And, we'll kind of look at what it does for the NAM. Just this back end, really heavy area of snow that it drops in this region. You just saw the evolution of it. And it's just wild what it's showing. I don't believe it. But if there's going to be a surprise and any storm does, it'll be this one. It will be this one. But, man, it dumps a ton of snow on D.C., Baltimore, eastern PA. Do I think this is going to happen? No. Do I think there's a chance to switch to snow in this area? I do. I really do. How much snow, if you ask me? I don't know, guys. this is one, I'm always going to keep it real with you. This is a tricky situation for these areas. And I can guarantee you meteorologists are pulling their hair out from northern VA up the I-95 corridor to New York City, trying to figure out if they should put snow in their forecast. So I would basically give these guys a break, give these meteorologists a break. This is going to be a tough one. And I would say, hey, if it snows and you're a snow fan, consider it a surprise. Gusty winds are going to be there. DC, 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts are possible through the Delmarva, through New Jersey. Starts to pick up in Long Island where 50 to 55, maybe 60 mile per hour wind gusts are possible out here on Long Island. Very windy conditions with this system. Now let's talk about New England, the Northeast. Rain will begin to take over by about midday. Heavy rain, just good old rain from New Jersey, up to Long Island, up to southern New England, up to Vermont, almost said New Jersey again, up to New Hampshire, New York State, moving into Maine. This is just rain. All right, so we'll stop it here. This is around 7 p.m. tonight. You're starting to see pockets of heavy rain switching to heavy snow. From Syracuse to Binghamton, up into the Adirondacks, starts to switch to heavy snow. Binghamton, at this hour, this is around 10 p.m. I mean, it is nuking snow. I mean, it is snowing very hard. And as we continue to keep this going, it starts to snow very heavily up here in northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, especially the northern half of Vermont. I think Vermont will be the epicenter of the heaviest snow with this storm system, in my opinion. We'll see what happens. But this is going to be a heavy, wet snow. Nothing dry about this snow. That heavy, wet snow that falls in the 30s and upper 20s. At the same time, a wind-driven rain sweeping through southern New England up into Maine. And this continues, kind of gets kind of vertically tilted, more so neutrally tilted. That means the dynamics really begin to increase. We go all the way to about 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. All-out snowstorm based off the HRRR model. I mean, going on from eastern sections of PA through New York State, through northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire. And I say I'm not going to make a video tonight, but I probably will, just really talking about the snow, because honestly, I'm going to be fascinated to see if the local meteorologists and the National Weather Service increase their snowfall totals for some of these areas, especially in eastern PA. But man, you stop it right here. This is around 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. It is snowing like crazy based off the HRRR model. And everybody in Vermont, except maybe southeast Vermont, you're hanging on to rain for dear life in most of New Hampshire. Just rain in southern New England. Just rain for most of Maine, unless you live in the northern portion of Maine. But like I said, as this pulls out, this could dump a quick several inches of snow in the Berkshires. I think the Catskills will get several inches of snow. And, I think Maine is just going to get a lot of rain from this. Caribou, this is just going to be rain for you folks. But then this pulls out, guys. This is going to be a fascinating storm. Rainfall, well, I would say precipitation from this storm, a lot of it. Anywhere from an inch to 4 to 5 inches. And this will just be rain down here in Connecticut, going for 5 inches of rain between now and the next 36 hours. A lot of rain's going to fall. So let's talk about the snow. And I know this graphic's pretty hard to see, but I'm going to show you a better graphic for areas further north. But this is the National Weather Service forecast. They're going for 3 to 4 inches of snow now in Binghamton. Ithaca, 1 to 2 inches. Hopefully I said that right. Cortland, 4 to 6 inches. Towanda, 2 to 3 inches. Scranton, 1 to 2 inches of snow. They're going for it. Milford, 3 to 4. Monticello, 3 to 4 inches. But, once you start to get closer to these higher elevations, Cooperstown, 8 to 12. So a lot of snow. This will be heavy and wet. They even say that down here. It's going to be hard to shovel. A little bit further north, this is where the meat of the winter storm will be. And here it is, a great graphic. Stowe, classic Christmas town, going for almost a foot of snow. Burlington, 9.5 inches of snow. All the way down, though, here, look at the cutoff here. And I keep wanting to call Vermont, New Hampshire, and Vermont. Manchester, half a foot of snow. You go down to Brattleboro, not even a half an inch they're calling for. So it's going to be hard, very difficult to switch this to snow if you live in extreme eastern and really southeastern Vermont. Concord, going for like nothing right now. That could change. Old Forge, 9.5 inches. The Adirondacks is going to get hit pretty good. I'm not sure what they're calling for you folks down here in Albany, or Albany. Not sure how y'all say it, but Glen Falls, 3 inches. Newport, 11.7. So, man, I wish I was up here for this one. This will be that heavy, wet, beautiful snow overnight. I think this will be one of those snows where if you're up very late after midnight, everything's calm. It's going to be snowing, these really fat, huge flakes. And it's just going to be a beautiful scene up here. It really is. I would love to just teleport to this region for this snowstorm. So enjoy it up here. A very wide look at this area of snow. It's going to be, you're going to get hit. They've bumped up the forecast totals for Vermont, areas of northern New Hampshire. And, you got to live in the far western, northwestern counties of Maine to get into the lot of snow region. But, you look at the GFS as far as snow with this. And, it's not a whole lot different. It's a little bit further east with the heavier totals. Really wants to hit the Berkshires with a pretty decent snowstorm with this. But, please be careful out here. And to really, cap this off for the eastern U.S., man, this is going on over 30 minutes long. Holy smokes here. Just trying to get the details to you guys, but I definitely need to speed this up. But 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts in southeast Mass. Just your typical areas extend way out here in the North Atlantic. Definitely hunker down out here later this evening. Winds will really pick up. But even Boston going for a top wind gust off the National Weather Service of 45 miles per hour. And then we go up here to our folks in Maine, where I think the worst of the winds will be. And, the down east areas of Maine is going to get hit hard with a substantial wind gusts, guys. Someone's going to get 60, 70, 75 mile per hour wind gusts. New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, big time wind storm coming in. I'm sorry, I do apologize. I kind of left you guys hanging with this storm. It's been a lot to keep up with, and I do apologize. I love you folks in Canada. You guys are always so polite, and I know some of you might rely on my forecast, but I promise you, in nor'easters and throughout winter, I will get you guys more covered. Just been low on time lately, so anyways, a lot of strong winds along the coastal regions of Maine. So that's it with the update with the storm. We got to finish off this video with everybody else. The south central U.S., quieter weather, nothing to speak on. I mean, nothing. Enjoy your nice, calm Sunday while everybody else in the eastern U.S. gets some crazy weather. Today will be calm for the south central U.S. Nothing to speak on. North central U.S., back in energy. We'll get some of this lake-enhanced moisture ongoing. So some snow showers are possible, especially in the eastern UP. And then some snow showers affecting northern, northwest sections and just western sections of Michigan later on today. And then some of these snow showers will make their way through the entire state of Michigan. Very isolated for the entire state of Michigan. But some streamers could drop some accumulating snow up here in the UP. And I feel bad for not having the snowfall accumulations up here for the UP. So I'm actually going to pull them up on the fly here. And let's see if we can go here and just go down to Michigan right here. And just kind of doing this on the fly. You get a good idea of how I make my videos. But between now and Tuesday morning, guys, going for a few inches of snow up here in the UP of Michigan based off the National Weather Service forecast. And then this more favorite area here in northern lower Michigan, someone could get half a foot of snow between now and the next 24 hours. So western U.S., the northwestern portion of the western U.S. continues to get impacts from just a funnel of moisture. This will really shift more so into Oregon throughout the day. Today will just rain, very rainy Sunday throughout the state of Oregon. Higher elevation snow. Warmer system, though. You'll continue to pick up some snow in Idaho throughout the afternoon, evening. And then a system will fly down into Montana, where you guys waking up tomorrow morning could be dealing with some heavy snow in northern and central Montana. Very long state, kind of weird to say central Montana, but from west to east, kind of a round of precipitation will move in. Depending on where you live, this could fall in the form of snow. And then a little bit of snow waking up to tomorrow morning in southern Wyoming, northern Colorado. But precipitation between now and the next 48 hours, a lot of this will fall in the form of snow. In fact, we'll just go on and look at snow right here. More higher elevation snow in Idaho. Idaho has been getting hit hard with a lot of snow lately. Western Montana, higher elevation snow, well over anywhere from 4 inches to 1.5 feet, depending on elevation. And the Yellowstone National Park picking up snow, and then even some higher elevation snow right here in this region of Wyoming in northern Colorado. Temperatures today, hanging on to the warm weather for dear life and Florida and the immediate southeast. Will rise all the way up to 60 degrees in Washington, D.C. today. Getting to the 50s all the way into New York City, Boston, before the temperatures quickly crash. And here it is. Cold temperatures in the Ohio River Valley. Mid-South, you're only going to get up into the low 40s, maybe just in the upper 30s. So, unfortunately, the cleanup today in these areas that got hit by these tornadoes, it's going to be a cold one. It's just going to be your typical kind of spring, fall kind of setup where it's very warm, very moist the day of the severe weather, and then the next day a cold front moves in. You got cold air. So, the cleanup is going to be chilly. It really is, and I hate to hear that, but at least the weather won't be bad, but it's going to be cold. The upper sections of the Midwest locked in below freezing, and then just kind of the southern plains, just kind of typical sort of December, January weather. Warming up out here in the western U.S., a little bit warmer in the southwest today, but in general, definitely stay tuned to your local people out here. But you can tell it's even warm into the higher elevations of Oregon and Washington, much more warmer air moving in. Long video, guys. That's all I got. We'll probably do it one more time for the eastern U.S. tonight. And then, moving forward, I'm watching a storm system for next weekend. This one's everywhere. So we got to figure this one out, and we will try to break it down. And as we inch closer to it, just try to figure out the details of it. That's all I got. God bless all y'all. Have a great Sunday, and I'll talk to you soon.